It's wide open out there. You can see for miles.
And I'm looking at these guys going, dude, we're in the middle of this lake. We saw some rise and I was like, they look like blackbirds.
And you can see that they're coming, and you can see that they're getting closer, and you can see that they're interested.
And me and Ashley did one of these like, oh, this is on now. Like we knew that this was gonna be an awesome day. Wave after wave after wave. And you weren't cold after that.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting.
Welcome to another fast-paced installment of Ducks Unlimited TV. I'm Ashley Ward. In this episode, I'm with Browning's Shaundi Campbell on the Great Salt Lake in Utah. The cold couldn't keep us down as we enjoyed fast and furious hunting for green-winged teal buzzing the shallows. We also toured the Browning Museum to learn more about this iconic brand who has recently entered the ammunition market. Right now on DUTV.
Teal are here because of the Great Salt Lake. It's one of our biggest assets here in Utah. It's really the only reason we have any waterfowl in Utah is because of the Great Salt Lake.
Basically, we're on the northern half of the Great Salt Lake. We're probably 40 miles, 45 miles as the crow flies from Salt Lake City, just a little bit to the northwest. They're straight west of Ogden, Utah. Rumor is, and I haven't done research on this as well, but rumor is that the first airboat that was ever created was actually made here in Utah at the Bear River Bird Refuge. I'm sure you have a lot of people in Florida that would argue. Out on the Great Salt Lake in the Delta shallow water, brackish water that's flowing into the Great Salt Lake, that's the best way to get around is with a fan boat.
Hot hands in every pocket. I was looking at the airboat going, oh, this is gonna be awesome. I've never been on an airboat. And then I went, oh, I'm not sure I want to be in this airboat at 17 degrees.
Today when we launch, it's going to be frozen from here to the salty portion of the Great Salt Lake. We'll launch in water, we'll get up on ice, we'll go back to grass and then onto ice and then into open water. So we're pretty lucky to be able to do that.
You know, being from the south, we have a teal season early, right after opening day of dove season in September. I'm fighting mosquitoes, I'm fighting snakes, and that's what I think about whenever I'm hunting teal.
Go out and you think, oh, big water, we're going to shoot divers, you know, you're going to shoot redheads, canvasbacks, bluebills. We don't get a lot of them using the salt water. The goldeneye and occasionally the bluebills will, but for the most part we get the teal and the shovelers are what are going to feed on that water.
The teal are out on the Great Salt Lake. They're eating the brine shrimp eggs. We're targeting them as they come back into the fresh water.
It's a beautiful morning out here on the Salt Lake, and we've seen a ton of birds so far. We've had a lot of big wads come in. We've got a pretty good setup out here. We were kind of battling the ice and the winds.
Typically, on most ducks, when you get a north wind, the birds will go north. They always fly into the wind because they're going to be on the leeward side of whatever they're sitting on. They're going to go out of it.
All right.
Out here on the lake, for some reason, what we've noticed this year is they did the complete opposite. And part of that is, I think, because the brine and the brine larvae and stuff like that are getting pushed with the wind, all of that.
Oh, here comes some more.
While they're out on the salt water, they have to have fresh water. So where we were setting on is a freshwater flow that the water comes, you know, a bunch of different flows come in to the Great Salt Lake, and we just happen to be on one of those.
All right.
You know, when we set up on the edge of that fresh water, that's where they've got to be there. And so it looks natural for those ducks to see our decoys there. we get a huge migration. We've got open water and we've got fresh water that they can drink. They've got food that they can eat. And so we keep them here a long, long, long time.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting. Mossy Oak Shadow Grass Blades, the official camo of Ducks Unlimited. Browning Firearms, the best there is. And by Ducks Unlimited's Ducks Expo at Texas Motor Speedway, celebrating everything outdoors.
You know, something that I found unique about this trip and really a lot of different trips that I take up north or just around the country is the types of decoys that they use. You know, we're used to putting out full body Higdons, but they use just basic silhouette black decoys.
Basically what we're doing is we're trying to look like a big raft of ducks. You'll look out and you're just gonna see it looks like a black sheet.
All right. Good shot. Good shot. Teamwork.
Now, you don't typically see a big pile of brush. You don't typically see big logs. You don't see anything out there. We are just flat as a pancake. So what you're capitalizing on is those birds are over open water and they're gonna feel safe, so they're gonna get low across the water. So where we're in 6 inches of water, what we do is we sit in the coffins like that, try to look like the ducks around us, put some taller ducks around us so that they, as they move up and down coming towards you, they won't have the profile behind you. So you just want to be as low to the water as you can, because then the ducks won't be able to pick you out. You'll just look like you blend in with the rest of the spread.
All right. It's almost like, it almost looks like blackbirds. There's so many, like mosquitoes.
These guys they're out here every day and, you know, seeing what these birds like and they don't like. And, you know, Chad mentioned multiple times that these birds just they don't like the spot we're in.
Out in front of us, we put a bunch of the decoys to the right side, kind of trying to keep those birds squared up in front of us, but they wanted to finish right into those decoys. So I ended up moving a whole bunch of them, moving all our spinners out in front of us and moving a bunch of the decoys out in front of us. Helped those birds square up a lot better. They worked right to the decoys.
I don't think we got any in that volley, did we? It's the pressure, Shaundi. It's not you, it's the pressure. I'm behind it. I always know what I do.
Whenever it's 15, 20 degrees outside and there's a north wind blowing at 20 miles per hour, you have to put on some clothes.
Oh, I know what I'm doing today. I'm just not getting my head down the gun.
A couple of the first tries, we were trying to figure out how we were going to shoulder this gun. And
look, here I am trying to mount this. Watch.
And having to lay down and try to shoulder the gun with all those clothes on was way too difficult.
They're already halfway to Kansas by now by the time I get it up on my shoulder.
So as a hunter, I had to figure out my next step.
Get down here in my turkey stance.
And so I said, what is the easiest way that's going to help me shoulder this gun? So I got in my turkey stance.
Gobble, gobble, boom!
I'm waiting on that big old Tom to step right on the other side of that silhouette, and I'm gonna get him right there.
And he'd say, take him, and I'd immediately just put it right here. And it saved so much time. And so Shaundi was like, I'm not hitting any birds. I don't know what to do. And I said, Shaundi, you gotta do the gobbler stance.
All right. Woo! I got two. All right, Shaundi.
So it was fun. We had a lot of laughs with that because, yeah, we're girls and we have to wear a lot of clothes, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I get cold easy. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You just have to make adjustments. Even if you feel like you look silly, who cares? Especially if you're shooting birds, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks or says, right? You should just rock it and own it and, you know, be who you are.
Oceans, bays, inland saltwater lakes, all are homes to ducks and geese. Freshwater species like mallards, pintails, green-winged teal, and others also frequent salty habitats. A unique saltwater impoundment in the U.S. is the Great Salt Lake in Utah, an environmental marvel that is the largest saltwater lake in the entire Western Hemisphere. That great expanse of shallow salt water, along with the fresh and saltwater wetlands around its shore, attract thousands of ducks and geese traveling south out of Western Canada. These wetlands account for upwards of 75% of the entire wetland landscape in the state of Utah and provide critical habitat for many other wildlife species. Ducks Unlimited's conservation projects in Utah are focused on maximizing the efficient use of limited water supplies in the Great Salt Lake's eastern shore marshes and its surrounding watershed. To that end, our projects are largely collaborations with public and private wetland managers to improve their ability to manage these wetlands for waterfowl and other wildlife. Please check out ducks.org to find out how you can help Ducks Unlimited's conservation efforts all over North America.
DU Insights is brought to you by Mossy Oak Properties. Find your favorite place at mossyoakproperties.com. DUTV is powered by Browning Ammunition, the best there is. Mossy Oak Properties, America's land specialist. Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. And Plano Synergy and Zinc Calls, a champion in every call.
Growing up my whole life, wing shooting has been something that has been so dear to me and something that I've loved so much. And with that comes just the legacy of Browning shotguns. That's what my dad had, that's what my grandfather had, my great-grandfather had. It's almost this lifestyle of Browning. And my first duck gun was actually a Browning Gold 20 gauge. And I was so excited, my dad got a matching Browning Gold 12 gauge.
This is my new gun. I like it.
And quickly, after I grew up a little bit, I think I snatched the 12 gauge away from him. It's so much more than just the gun itself. It's what it means. It's the legacy that it's left through all the years. And being able to hunt with Shaundi this week was really cool for me because, you know, not only is she just a super cool chick to hang out with and hunt with and share a layout blind with, but she's also a woman in the industry and she gets it.
I learned really young that if I wanted to do something for 30 years, I needed to do what I loved.
She's their media and marketing person and somebody who really gets the positive message out about Browning in such a good way, and she does that.
I started in the off-road industry with Jeeps and trucks and decided that my passion didn't really lie there. My very first hunt was with my dad on an upland pheasant hunt. And I'm pretty sure I didn't hit a bird that day. And from then it just kind of inspired me to get outside all the time, four-wheelers and trucks, whatever it took to get up there, horses. Once I got, into the industry, it just, flourished.
Whoa! 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 Good shooting! They just fell out of the sky! Wow! That was awesome.
Even out here this week, it's been 17 degrees, and nobody's even been like, are you gonna be okay? They just know, hey, she's got this, and yeah, she might freeze a little bit and chatter, but it's fine.
Our conditions out here are some of the toughest conditions in waterfowling. The Great Salt Lake is 7 times saltier than the ocean. So that just tells you, you can literally take a gun and literally watch them rust in your hands at times.
We introduced the Wicked Wings 2 years ago, the Wicked Wing version of the A5 and the Maxus. Both are meant for the elements. So we put a Cerakote finish on the barrel and the receiver, but really the Wicked Wing version of the A5 and the Maxus can really get you out there into the conditions that, where the ducks are at, into stuff like this, and you're never gonna have a problem.
Most misses with a shotgun are not a matter of inches. They are a matter of feet, they're a matter of yards, and that's because people stop their swing. The biggest reason people stop their swing is because they look at the gun. There's a couple different drills you can do to teach yourself to keep the gun moving. And what some people do is they'll just try to make a conscious, deliberate follow-through, shoot, keep the gun moving. But what really works, or works the best, I think, is as long as your eye is on the target, it will send the gun to the right place. It will keep the gun going. As long as you keep looking at that moving target, your hands will follow. So one of the things you can do, it's a simple drill, call for a clay bird, shoot it. If you break it, follow the biggest piece to the ground. Stay in the gun. That'll give you the idea that you need to look at the target and never look back at your gun, because as soon as you do, that target won't break.
DUTV is brought to you by Native Nurseries, hand-selected, hand-grown plants for wildlife. Higdon Outdoors, quality, customer service, innovation. That's Higdon. Biologic, scientifically proven wildlife products. Closed captioning for Ducks Unlimited Television is brought to you by Mossy Oak Bottomland, the official timber pattern of Ducks Unlimited.
Cold, wet, wintry conditions can sap the strength and stamina right out of your retriever. He's using all his body energy just to stay warm. The rule here is to keep your dog high and dry. Let's look at a few ideas. Number one, a thermal vest. Deke is sporting a thermal vest that's going to get wet. Underneath that, his body heat is going to be captured and keep the dog much, much warmer than if he was just out in the wide open. A second thing we want to use is a water stand or a platform to keep the dog out of the water. Your dog is using 3 times the energy if he's standing in the water than if you've got him out of the water. Another trick is to use a thermal insulated dog hide. If you've got a dog hide, it keeps the dog out of the wind, out of the snow, out of the rain, and conserves heat. It's going to trap the heat inside and your dog is going to stay much warmer. Here are a few other things to consider. In this scenario, we're working 2 dogs with 2 bumpers on the water, practicing the dogs leaving the hides and coming back to delivery. We want the dogs to remain still and quiet until released on the retrieve. Hides help conceal the dog while on the hunt, but also they provide good warmth. Coffin blinds do the same. Some hunters like to put the dog inside the blinds with them. This becomes a safety issue that you must practice before the hunt. Keeping a wet dog out of the water as much as possible remains the main rule. One of the biggest challenges you will find working a dog out of a hide or a lay-down blind is keeping the dog steady, quiet, and patient. So you may want to practice this a good deal before opening day.
Duck Dog with Mike Stewart is presented by Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs.
Brownings are a girl's best friend.
I think the women in the industry need to learn off of each other. Each of us can teach each other different things about different hunting styles. And
She brought all the Brownings.
I said, Shaundi, did you bring any guns? She said, yeah, what do you want? And I went, oh, what a dream come true.
for me and her, this one was new. We'd never hunted on the Great Salt Lake. I live, 7 miles away from the Great Salt Lake, and I've never been on it. And even she was looking at me like, have you done this before? And I'm like, no. But we went after it.
Good shot, Shaundi. My burrito's fantastic. Of course, I've had to put it down a couple of times because I thought birds were working. Like right now, let me put it down. Gotta get serious.
That's the way the teal do it out here. They just get in, they're maneuverable, and that's why everybody likes to shoot them, is they're challenging. I mean, especially in a 20-mile-an-hour wind, you call a shot at 20 yards, and your first shot is at 30, and your next shot is, it really makes for challenging shots.
All right. Good shooting, guys.
You just can't underestimate what you can learn from the new people that you meet, that's for sure.
All right, good shooting.
And we're just two girls that like to get out there and go try to get on some waterfowl, and that's exactly what we did. And no matter the weather conditions, we toughed it out like always, and we had a great time doing it. So just thank you for everybody for making this happen. And like I said, we had a wonderful time, and hopefully we'll be able to come back soon.
Ooh, they did it right, didn't they? That was pretty. The way they all cupped in there like that, right hanging on top of us.
What a fantastic hunt. One of my personal favorites while co-hosting DUTV. Thanks to Shaundi, Campbell, and Browning for their support of Ducks Unlimited and habitat conservation. Special thanks to Chad and Rob of Fried Feathers Outfitters for their hard work and for showing us such a great time. Your support of waterfowling through the efforts of Ducks Unlimited is much appreciated. See you next time on DUTV.